All right, welcome back to the KnivesFAST channel. Say hi to Ren and Stimpy, and let's get started with Knife Professor class number 4, blade shapes. Now, guys, I'm going to tell you, I'm a little nervous about this one. And the reason is there are so many blade shapes, and I'm not going to cover them all today, A, because I don't have examples of all of them, and B, because some of them are a little bit confusing as well. And you'll see that as we go along. So we're going to try to see what we can do to hit some of these blade shapes. Now, to assist us, if you can see it around all the knives I have on the table, is the mat here from NAFS or from Ben Peterson, Ben Banters, that has some of the blade shapes listed. Now, I'll tell you guys, there are definitely some similarities in each one. So we're going to start with the classic drop point. So a drop point, as you can probably see over here, drops down at the top and then has this characteristic belly at the bottom. So this, my friends, is a classic drop point. So it's dropping down and then there's a sweeping belly. In other words, we call this part where the blade sort of curves, we call that the belly. And you know, that's what this, by the way, this is the K-Bar Jaros folder from Jesse Jaros, and that is a drop point. Also, another example of a drop point is the CJRB RIA. This one is a little bit different simply because it's got a little bit more of a belly here, but it's still a good example of a drop point. So let's skip over to a Tanto Point. So some people say Tanto, some people say Tanto. I think it's supposed to be Tanto. And as you can see, it just has usually and it's a Japanese style, basically. And the perfect thing to show you this is the Cold Steel Kobun. We'll be reviewing this very soon, but this one has a combination grind here. It has the grind that goes this direction, on the flat, although it's not completely flat, and then it has the front facing blade for basically penetration cuts and things like that. And that's basically, guys, and what I really need to go back and focus on, if you go back to the drop point, this is such a classic well-used blade because it's perfect for what knives were first used for, and still used a lot for, which is hunting and skinning. This is a great skinning blade shape. And it's used for many other things like EDC tasks, like cutting paper, and you name it. But this guy is more specialized, and it's a little bit harder. You'll hear some of us talk about we don't particularly care for Tanto points, and the reason for me is it's a little harder to sharpen properly. But you have the combination, the two grinds going on. You have the one grind going this way and the one grind going towards the front for penetration cuts. And that's a good self-defense knife, tactical purposes, that kind of thing. All right. And so clip point, guys, clip point is also going to be a very good skinner, and that kind of thing. So what makes a clip point, guys? So if you look here on Ben's diagram, you'll see it sweeps upward. So you have the drop here, but then it sweeps upward. And then again, you still have that nice belly at the bottom. This is, by the way, the Giant Mouse GM2. And I didn't tell you this one was a CJRB RIA here. So that's a good example of a clip point. Lots of knives, lots of clip points these days. And you see this swedge right here. And again, the swedge is the part where that blade stock is sort of narrowed inward. You can have a sharpened swedge in some knives for penetration and that kind of thing, but in this case, this swedge is not sharpened. So there you go. The next one, and again, this is where some of the controversy starts, guys, because I'm going to show you, first of all, I'm going to change. So this right here is a Wharncliffe. A Wharncliffe is typically something like this guy. This is the Holiday from Finch. And you can see very flat on the bottom, sweeping down at the top. And this is a very classic Wharncliffe. However, a lot of people refer to what I'm about to show you. This is a sheep's foot, but some people will also refer to this blade as a Wharncliffe. This to me is a sheep's foot. So you can see a sheep's foot is flat or flat-ish at the top and then curves down kind of like a beluga whale there. And then you can either have it completely flat, but typically a sheep's foot has that up curve. And the reason this is more of a sheep's foot than a Wharncliffe is typically more flat. So there you go. That is a sheep's foot. Some people will also call this, or something very similar to this, a reverse tanto. I'm just going to call it a sheep's foot because that's what I'm used to calling it. So let me close some more knives up here, and then we'll go up here. And I've got one more down here to show you. So this is the CJRB Centros. And if you look up here, we have a spear point. Now, I'm going to show you two spear points at once. So this one almost looks exactly like Ben's picture there. If you see the picture, a spear point is kind of meeting in the middle is what I would say, guys. So what I mean by that is it comes down and it comes up with the belly, and you end up with a point somewhere in the middle. And by the way, this is the Essie Avispa. This one sort of started my addiction to knives. But anyway, bad knife. So that's a spear point. But also, this one is cataloged. This is the CJRB Centros. This is also cataloged as a spear point, but it is much more speary, or as my friend JB from Big Red EDC would say, pokey stabby. So again, that's what I'm saying. There's basic blade shapes, and then there are little tiny tweaks on that, which is good because it gives us more options. So the next thing I want to show you, that's really all. You see all the other, I've got a review coming up on the Artisan Arroyo, which is a great trailing point or Persian. And I don't have any daggers right now, but I've done a review on the ring dagger from the Drop Forge ring dagger from Cold Steel. And so those are the base ones I wanted to talk about. However, you see right here, Recurve, and I don't have any really awesome examples except here's a Kershaw. I think this is called the Filter. And you can see, guys, what a recurve is rather than, if I pull this guy back out, on this back part of the blade, it's flat, okay? Back here. You can see where it takes a curve. Can you see that? This is not a great example, but you see the curve there. And again, another one that is not super easy to sharpen, a recurve. So you see back here, so it curves up here, and then it recurves the other direction at the bottom. So again, this is the best example in my collection I could find of a recurve. It is a recurve. It's just not very staggering, if you will, as far as an example. So that's all we're going to cover today. We're almost 8 minutes in anyway. And so if you have any questions, please feel free to leave them down in the comments. And maybe I'll do a follow-up video down the road as I have different examples come through for review. So thanks for watching. Let me know what you think. Give me a subscription, a like, all that good stuff. And guys, thanks for the support, and thanks for watching the KnivesFAST channel.